Hello everybody, Sergeant Soldier here and welcome back to another 5 Things to Remember When, and today we're talking about warding. Now warding as a support main, it's one of the most important things that you could do for your team to ensure that they actually win their games. Now back in the day, way back when, a couple seasons ago, the support role was literally just a ward bot because there was an unlimited amount of wards you could buy. Literally, and I said literally like 6 times there, you would just buy a stack of wards, 5 wards, and you would just spray them all over the map because no one else on your team was doing it. You were literally the only one. And when someone else decided they wanted a ward, like let's say jungle or top lane or mid, you were so excited because they were taking some of the pressure off of you. This time around, Season 6 now, no longer the case. You cannot buy regular green wards, they're out of the game. Now, Riot has given us these warding trinkets. Now, if you look at the background of the picture that you're going to be seeing here, you can see that not only have I placed a ward down, but Too Legit has as well. You can see in the bush there, right next to Bard, it looks like. There's 2 wards there. One is mine, one is his, right? That's because he is warding. If you look at the scoreboard there, there's 5 people on each team, and each one has, at this moment in the game, a warding trinket. Everybody can ward, and that, my friends, is point number 1. Everybody wards. Now, there's still issues with this. Some people still don't like to ward. They forget that they have the trinket. They don't use it. Whatever. Fine. The fact that it's not only the support's job is really cool, but also the junglers have to ward their jungle if they want to protect their jungle, or they have to ward the enemy jungle if they want to invade the enemy jungle. It's really neat having the warding shifted to the entire team instead of one particular person. Also, not only do we have the yellow trinkets, we have a blue trinket, which is a ranged single hit ward that sticks around for as long as it sticks around until somebody hits it. Now, that being said, you can't teleport to these wards like you can the yellow ones, but they also don't disappear. Which, if at least one person on your team is able to take these blue trinkets and put those blue wards around that stick around for forever until they get hit, it can make the vision portion of the game so much better. Number 2, everyone needs to buy pink wards. Now, this isn't just the support's job. Back in the day, it used to be. Now everyone needs to buy pink wards. And it's really dependent on who you're going against. Especially if you're going against either A, Twitch, or Vayne in the bot lane. You could be going against a Evelynn jungle who goes invisible. There's a plenty of champions that go invisible right now. And you really need those pink wards, otherwise they're just going to crush you. So that being said, if you look at the image in the background right now, everyone on the team should at least one point of the game buy and place a pink ward, which you can only place one at a time. So if you place one and then 5 minutes later place another one, it'll blow up your first pink ward. But if you look at this image here, not only do I have a pink ward, but so does our jungle, who is Kha'Zix. And if you look at the enemy team, their Fizz has a pink ward. At some point, everyone needs to put a pink ward down so that there's 5 pink wards on the map, which is really helpful because they don't go away like the yellow trinket wards do. Also, one thing that's really important is if you have the available space, like if you look at my Zyra bar right now, I have 2 items plus a pink ward and then 3 empty spaces. If you look at most of the enemy team, and for the most part our team, there's a lot of empty spaces in their inventory. Every single person should have a pink ward on them at all times. Now, of course, you're going to get people that say, oh, well, that's too much money, I don't want to do it, I don't want to invest in a pink ward. Fine, those aren't people you want to play with anyway. The ones that are buying pink wards, such as our jungle here or our Fizz there on the other team, those are the people you want to play with because they're actually contributing to warding and vision for the entire team. Point number 3. Now this one is going to be a little bit longer of a point. It's going to cover a wide variety of locations, but we're going to talk about ward placement and the fact that it actually matters where you place the ward in terms of vision. Now in this very first clip, which is probably going to cycle through a few times, we have me placing a ward in the bottom lane in the river bush. Now in this particular clip, I'm placing it on the bottom side towards the lane, which actually gives us a shorter range of vision going upwards towards Dragon Pit. Now, me personally, I don't like putting the ward here just because it gives you less vision to the top side of the bush, which is where a jungler is going to come from. You want to be able to see that icon on the map as soon as possible. By doing this, you're actually extending your vision down into the lane, where you don't really need it if you've got the lane frozen in the middle or pushed up. You don't need that extra vision there. So this is one location I see a lot of wards going into, and it really doesn't help the team. It doesn't help the ADC know, hey, by the way, someone's coming, because you have very little reaction time before they're already in the lane, stomping on you. The next clip we have the ward in the top of the bush. Now this is where I prefer to put it because it gives you an extra inch or two of vision on the north side, closer to the dragon, whereas it doesn't give you as much vision on the bottom. Yes, it does give you less vision on the bottom, and if you're not pushed up, yeah, you could potentially need that vision, but always assume that your land's going to be pushed up, always assume your ADC is going to do the right thing every time, and warding at the top of the bush will always be the right answer, in my opinion. I've only been playing support since Season 2, so, take it as it is. Our third clip here, we have pinking, and this very first one is going to be pinking on the red side tri-bush. Now, personally, I like putting the pink in the very bottom corner of the bush because it actually extends the vision around that stone wall, and it gives you just a little bit more time to be able to react to a jungle hooking around the top, ready to flash over it and get you under the turret, such as when you're low health. Now, you can place it anywhere else in this bush, but again, you're not going to get that vision hook where it goes around the side of the wall there. So it's up to you as to whether or not you want to place it there, but personally, that's where I like placing mine. Our next clip shows the pink in the tri on the other side, the blue side. And there are two locations to put the pink. This first clip is the one that shows where I like to put it because it actually extends the vision underneath the bush and around the wall on this side as well. It gives you that little tiny hook, which could be that one split second where you see the enemy jungle's icon pop up on your mini-map and you go, oh boy, Bully Bear's coming. Now, in the second clip, where if you look at it, it actually shows it closer to the stone wall. That whole stone wall there on the bottom of it is completely in fog now. And it doesn't give you very much more vision on the top side. A very, very, very little bit. But personally for me, I would actually prefer the vision on the bottom side than a fraction of an inch on the top side. Because either way, if they're coming from the top, you're going to see them. But if they're coming from the bottom, by the time you do see them, they're already almost to the end of that wall. Or they're going to stay in the shadows there, and they'll just flash over and kill you without them ever knowing. One good thing about placing the ward in the first location is that little spot that is now lit up by the ward is actually a spot that Blitzcrank likes to grab people from, because he can reach the turret from there. He will snatch you out and pull you back if you're not paying attention. So that being said, if the ward is on the far right side of the tri, you should pretty much be covered. But if you put it against the stone wall, Blitz can stand there and you will never see him until it's too late. The next clip is ward placement for the mid lane. Now, mid lane, you've got the two river sides and the river bushes. It's pretty much where most of the mids put their wards at first, at least in the early game. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a good idea because a lot of the times the jungle is going to sweep down through the river bush anyway. So yeah, that's a good spot. Not a bad idea. However, as you'll see in this next clip, there are different places you can put either a yellow ward or a pink ward or a blue ward, and one of them is the Raptor Pin on both sides. And by putting it here, you're actually preventing a gank by the enemy jungle and providing vision for your jungle so that he knows when someone walks by his raptors or essentially kills his raptors, so that he knows what to do in terms of combating the enemy jungle. Now, as you'll see here, I'm simulating a jungle with Sona. Literally, it's as easy as just flashing over the wall and attacking. Some of these jungles can do that very, very well, and you'll never see them coming until they're already in your face, such as Kha'Zix. Bad times ahead, you throw a ward there, it'll at least save your bacon one time, depending on what kind of ward it is. Now in this next clip, this is a warding location that I don't use too often because I don't really find it useful, but I do see people warding this a lot. It is the approach lanes on both sides of the river, not the bush side, but the other side, where I have the ward placed. Now you could potentially place a ward there, sure, do enemy jungles and enemy top lanes and bot lanes swing up through there? Yeah, sure, sometimes they do. Especially if you're overextended, that puts them in a position to where you can't run past them, you're going to have to run through them. So is it a good idea to ward there? That's completely up to you. All these ward locations are situational and how you feel about warding, but it's just offering you ideas. This next clip, we have the ward on the top side, in the bottom of the river bush. And just like with bot lane, by having the ward in the far, far bottom of the bush, it's extending that vision all the way down towards Baron and giving the top player, whoever they happen to be, more time to react to a potential gank, whether it's by the jungle or if it's by the mid, who most times, if they get ahead, they will end up going top. However, the river bush isn't the only place to ward because you also have a tri, and just like with the tri on the bot side, location here can be a little tricky. Now, I have a ward here in the very bottom corner. It extends the vision on the bottom side to the left there, but not so much around that wall up above, right? Just like the bot side has that wall. If you were to place a ward on the far left, closer to that tree stump, you can actually get the vision to hook around just like all the other walls where it hooks. Next up, we have these large open areas that are right next to the raptor pits on both sides of the mid lane. Now, I like putting a ward here, not a pink ward, but an actual yellow ward, because the amount of vision that it actually opens up for not only the mid lane, but the jungle as well. You can see not only 1, 2, but 3 avenues of approach here. If they're coming from the backside of Dragon, you'll see them coming. If they're coming from the backside of Red, you'll see them coming. If they're coming out of the river, you'll see them coming. If they're coming from mid, you'll see them coming. This is a really good place to ward, and not a whole lot of people actually ward here. So, because it's not in a bush, people think that you have to ward in a bush for some reason. This is actually a great place to ward. It opens up so much vision because there are very few walls here to actually block the range of the ward. Definitely one of my recommendeds. By choosing the bottom of the bush, closest to that mid bush there, you're actually opening up the vision to almost the entire river. Just enough so that any mid that comes down or any mid that comes up, depending on where it's at, will be definitely seen by your vision, and you'll be able to tell your bot lane or your top lane, hey, look out, the enemy Vlad is coming up, it's coming down. Hey, look out, Orianna's gonna come steamroll you. A little bit of vision can go a long way. Number 4, we have clearing wards. At least one member of the team has to do this. And if you can get 2 with your jungle, all the better. Because vision can win games. If you have no idea where the enemy's moving, if you don't know they're approaching Dragon, if you don't know if they're approaching Baron, you're gonna lose your game. You need to have vision. And you need to also take that vision away from the enemy so that they don't have vision. See how it works? Riot has given us this convenient tool called the red trinket that actually allows us to not only clear wards, but clear wards very effectively, especially if your whole team is running around with you. Now in this case, I have the red trinket on Sona, and we're running around, and I happen to find a Shaco box. Getting rid of those before it hits one of my teammates, especially a squishy mid, definitely a good thing. Unfortunately, I didn't find any wards in this one, and towards the end of the clip, I started wasting it because I started healing our jungle, but you guys have all seen how red trinkets work. Clear a ward, you get money, good times, right? Now, if your jungle has a red trinket and your support has a red trinket, and they're both using them effectively and all the time, there's going to be no issues with vision because the enemy support or whoever's warding is going to have a hard time keeping it. Last but not least, we're going to talk about favorite places to ward. Now, this is personal for myself. You may have different places to ward. That's completely up to you. But however, if you do, that's fine. I'm just giving my favorites, and hopefully if you agree with them, awesome. If you think that I missed a couple really good ones, please let me know in the comment section below. Or if you say that's a really stupid place to ward, you know, such and such and such, fine. Okay, that's your opinion. This is mine. So first off, of course, we have the 2 bot bushes, your Tri and your River bush. Always ward those 2. Those 2 have to be warded at all times if you're bot lane. Going up and warding the dragon is of course really important. You don't want to put the ward on the backside of the wall in the dragon pit, because guess what? You're not going to actually ward the river. It needs to be either in between the 2 walls in the middle of the water, or on the river side just enough so that it's still illuminating the dragon itself. Also, if you're mid lane, all the examples that I showed, the raptor pit, the side bushes, those are all my favorite places to ward. Of course, you want to ward the open areas that are near raptor pit. Those are good places because you get a lot of vision with those, and it's never a bad idea to get more vision, especially if you're pushing too far ahead and you're susceptible to getting an enemy gank. With the top lane, the 2 main bushes, just like the bottom lane, of course you've got your river bush and your Tri. Warding the Baron, definitely not a bad idea, but unfortunately the top lane doesn't have a support, and you're only limited to 2 wards, sometimes even 1 depending on the cooldown, so you really need to be choosy about how you're going to ward. Now, if you're pushing really far, having a ward in the river bush is probably the best thing. I don't really play top a whole lot, but when I do, I don't end up pinking the Tri or warding the Tri very often, because I'm never pushing that far ahead unless I know, you know, I've got to clear the enemy jungle's bot side or the mid is moving down. I'm not going to get ganked. Let's push ahead a little bit. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode of 5 Things to Remember When. We were covering warding, and I tried my best to cover all the positions on the map. When it comes to jungling, there really isn't a best place to put wards. It's all situational. If you think you need to put wards by your red and your blue to protect them, to give you vision of them, then do it. If you're very invasive and you want to go ward their red and their blue, go do it. It just depends on your jungling style, and I don't play jungle enough to be able to say this is for sure where you need to ward. However, any of the places listed in this video here would probably work pretty well for jungle as well. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. 5 things to remember when warding. Hopefully you guys learned something new. Hopefully I didn't screw it up. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next 5 things to remember when video. Bye-bye.